All right, last question, actually. How do we fix those problems of Washington, D.C.?
Oh, yeah, you want me to write another book on that one? How do we fix the problems of Washington, D.C. from the point of view of Silicon Valley or from the point of view of...
From the point of view of Silicon Valley and technology, what is the relationship that the two entities should have?
I think Silicon Valley can and indeed should offer Washington, D.C. a model of innovation, of disruption, which is healthy. But I also think that what Silicon Valley needs to do, and I'm not sure if I'm answering your question here really, what Silicon Valley needs to do as a model for Silicon Valley is become more accountable. The crisis in America is lack of accountability. No one takes accountability. No one is accountable for everything. Everyone blames everyone for everything else. I think that the leading figures in Silicon Valley, whether it's a Zuckerberg or a Reid Hoffman, Bezos and Gates outside Silicon Valley, Tim Cook, who I think is actually responsible, they need to take responsibility and fix the problems that they've broken. So it's the general power rule. You break it, you fix it. If Silicon Valley can live up to that, and I think they have the intelligence, they certainly have the means. I mean, they've got a huge amount of money to play with. And I think the integrity, I think when it comes down to it, this may not include everyone, there are some rather odd characters like Peter Thiel, but I think the majority of very successful people in Silicon Valley are actually quite responsible, whether it's a Reid Hoffman or a Chris Sacca. Mark Benioff is another model, and I think that they need to come to the fore and show Washington, D.C. that stuff can be done. And I think if they begin to fix, say, the problems of fake news or social media or narcissism, that can also offer a model to the dysfunctionality of Washington, D.C. What they can't offer, and I think this is one of the mistakes we often make, is they can't offer technology. So always this idea, well, the guys in D.C., their problem is they don't understand technology. They don't know how the internet works. They don't know how to do apps. That's neither here nor there. The crisis in D.C. is a moral one. The crisis is that the political class have lost any connection with the people, and that they've been undermined by a complete absence of trust, which is quite understandable since it's a vicious circle. The less trustworthy they behave, in a way they behave, the less trust we have in them. So I think what Silicon Valley can offer the rest of America is leadership in a time of crisis. And in my book, I call on Jeff Bezos, who I think is the biggest grown-up, a real mensch, a remarkable man. He's certainly not ideal. I've been critical of him in the past. But I think he's someone who can really get stuff done. He can be the Andrew Carnegie. We're back in history. We're back in the 19th century again. Back then, things were terrible. The political class was rotten. The American political system didn't work. So what happened? The titans of industry stood up and took responsibility. The robber barons became philanthropists. And I think the model of an Andrew Carnegie is one that a Bezos, a Zuckerberg, a Reid Hoffman, a Chris Sacca should look at carefully. They have a responsibility. They've been lucky enough to be born into a remarkable country. Much of their wealth came to them because they were lucky enough to be born in these societies, and they need to give something back. And I think they can be the model of civic responsibility that is undermining this culture and making people have less and less faith in anyone with authority. So they can not only solve DC, but the crisis of authority. And they broke it in a sense by creating this disintermediated media that compounded so much of our lack of faith in expertise.
Indra Keen, the book is How to Fix the Future. I hope we can do it together.